This is the Horse Radio Network.
This is episode 342 of the Stable Scoop Radio Show. Simon Says Pony Up. Please support our sponsors as they make this show possible.
Our sponsors this week are Buy Meta Dewormers and Dr. Rose's Remedies.
Welcome to the Stable Scoop, with weekly shows delivered right to you. With Helena and Glenn the Geek, live from the stable, it's every week. They bring you the news through hail or high water, while using their tails as their own fly swatters. So sit on down and laugh till you poop, cause it's time again for Stable Scoop. Stable Scoop. The Stable Scoop. Stable Scoop.
And this is Helena B., and you're listening to the Stable Scoop Radio Show on the Horse Radio Network.
Well, Helena, I think congratulations are in order for your smarty pants daughter.
She is a smarty pants. She is, yes. She did, her team did very well this past weekend at their quiz rally.
And this is for Pony Club, right? Up there in Rhode Island.
This is for the United States Pony Club. She belongs to the Southeast New England region group. And Grace attends Pony Club at a Pony Club Center. Simon Says Welsh Ponies in Rehoboth, Mass.
Oh, very cool. So we're going to talk, and that's what we're going to be talking a little bit about today. You have one of the, what's her title? What's Anna Corfrey's
She's one
title?
of the, she's the assistant center administrator. She's their coach.
Okay, got it. And she's going to be joining us a little bit later. We haven't talked about Pony Club in a long time on the show, actually.
No, the last time we did was shortly after they rolled out their center program.
We're going to talk more about that. Of course, my wife was an HA Pony Clubber back in the day, and we actually worked with the Pony Club for many years after she graduated. So we're going to talk more about that. And when I started out with Jennifer in the horse world, she was actively involved in the Pony Club. So I went to many rallies. I was at many rallies. I'm qualified at rallies.
All right, good. And you can give me the scoop.
Your day is coming.
Yeah.
Your day is coming. Well, that's good. Congratulations to Grace. That's terrific. Does that mean she qualifies for nationals, or what's the story?
So she qualified as an alternate for nationals in quiz.
That means she goes, though, right?
Well, technically, you don't know that she goes.
Okay.
It's if someone bails out or can't go, then the alternates go. But because it's a big deal and it's kind of far, it's often the case that somebody from the first group can't go. So the alternates have a very good chance of heading down to nationals. So we're going to plan as if she's going, just in case that opportunity does arise.
And that's where this year, nationals? Is that in Virginia or Kentucky?
That is in Virginia, which is perfect for us. We'll hop in the car and head right down there.
It was always very confusing because you can't say you can say nationals are in Lexington, because sometimes they're in Lexington, Kentucky, and sometimes they're in Lexington, Virginia. So it works either way.
That's a good point. No, they are in I believe it's the Virginia Horse Center,
which is in Lexington, Virginia. Yep. Very good.
Yeah.
Right off the highway. I've been there too, and it's a really nice facility.
Well, I'm really excited because, I'll tell you, it's very hard for me to just be a spectator.
I bet.
We do talk about this in our interview with Anna, Grace's coach. For as deeply as involved as I want to be, I have a little personal growth to do myself, and that's to keep your damn hands off your kid and her pony.
That's funny. I think every mom has that, though. That's not just you. No, Italian moms, it's worse. But
Italian moms. Well, my dad was a natural-born teacher, and he loved to ski and play golf and do a lot of physical things. And he taught me. I mean, he was the foundation for all of my physical activities. He taught me what it means to use your body.
Because you were a big-time athlete in college and stuff, too, right?
I was always an athlete.
Yeah.
I mean, I was on skis at 3 years old, and, tumbling and swimming and running and jumping and doing all of those things. I think I was born with a concept how to use my body. Some people are just naturally athletic. I think I came out with that. But I didn't know how to control it or what to do with it. So my father played a big role in helping me with that. I've inherited his propensity for teaching. It's you're passionate about the joys of moving your body, however that may be, competitively, artistically, whatever. So I want to pass that along to Grace. She, however, doesn't have the same type of natural athleticism that I had. Grace she's way more balance and artistry and other things than I had. So I clashed with her a lot. Now, my dad and I clashed a lot too. But I've learned that if I really want Grace to experience something in its truest form so that she has an opportunity to appreciate it, I have to get myself out of the way.
Well, and I'm with Grace. I was always one that never had that natural. I really had to work at the athletic stuff. I played tennis for a long time. I wrestled and all that, but I had to really work at it. I wasn't like you. So, and it's tougher when you're having to really work at it and it doesn't come naturally. You can do it, but there is a level there that you'll never reach as opposed to the truly athletic ones.
Well, interestingly though, I used to think this, but now I don't. I've changed my mind. I don't believe that athleticism gives you an upper hand when it comes to the quality of riding. So, for example, I'm super athletic, and that gets in my way a lot. You can't strong arm a horse. You can't be a better rider simply by being a better athlete. Grace is a far better rider than I am because she has a very gentle balance. She does not get in her horse's way. She has a completely different means of communication with her pony than I do. And I think that's to her benefit as a rider. So, it's about staying out of the way and just letting
and that's
your child,
you're right. I never thought about it that way, but probably horse sports are one of the very few where that athleticism it doesn't play as big a part because you have the horse thrown into the mix. It as opposed to lacrosse or something where it's true athleticism. It's all that.
Well,
and skill.
Here's the thing: true athleticism is defined in different ways, and this is something that I've learned from riding horses. It's a different kind of athleticism. It really is. It's not that just muscular force, power,
brute force.
speed,
Yeah, right.
distance.
It's not throwing a shot put.
It's not throwing a shot. It's not tumbling. It's not, balance on the balance beam. It's something completely different. But it is an incredible form of athleticism. So just something to chew on a little bit.
Interesting. Well, we're going to talk more about that when we get to our interview here. But before we do, I just wanted to mention really quickly that we're going to be, Jennifer and I are heading, and Dr. Wendy and Kyle from the Driving Radio Show are going to be heading to the Global Pet Expo this week. We're recording this on Tuesday, and we leave tomorrow for that. That's why this show's out a little early this week. And the Global Pet Expo is a wholesale retail show for the pet world, for the dog and cat side of things. And we're very excited. There's 3,000 booths and about 5,000 retailers that show up for this, so it's a huge show. They asked us to come in and kind of we're going to be doing a podcasters meeting on Thursday morning of people who do podcasts about animals, and we're kind of representing the horse world. So we're going to be doing that, and then coming to you live on Horses in the Morning, Friday morning, Dr. Wendy and I will be talking to a bunch of people about new products coming out in the pet world. So all of us have dogs and cats, so we're going to be talking about new products coming out and some of the bizarre stuff coming out for dogs and cats, and that'll be on Friday mornings. Horses in the Morning show live at 9 a.m. Eastern at horsesinthemorning.com. So tune in for that as well. Our first guest today is Dr. David Ellefson. He is from By Me to Dewormers. It's the second part in our series we're doing on deworming. And, of course, that's something that everybody starts to think about this time of year as we're coming into spring. Our first part was last month. If you missed that, you can go back and take a listen to it at stablescoop.com. And let's take a listen to the second part in this series on deworming. Well, Glenn here with the Horse Radio Network, and I have Dr. Ellefson with us, and he is Director of Technical Services with Bimeda Incorporated. And, well, so we're talking about dewormers. We did the first part last month on the shows, and I'm sure everybody heard that, and we're doing a second part. And today we're talking about product labeling and FDA approvals. So you go into the tack shop or you're online, what can you learn from the product labels of all these different dewormers out there?
Well, it's really interesting how few people actually read a label, and I guess we're all kind of guilty of that in different aspects of our life, where we don't want to read directions. We just want to use something. But what you can learn from looking at the label is what that product has been approved for and which parasites it will control. Not all the products on the market are approved for all of the essential parasites. And it's really important also to look at what weight of animal can be treated with that tube of dewormer that you're picking up. Some are 1,250 pounds, and others, like Equimax, are 1,320 pounds. So there's differences from that standpoint. And also there's a safety profile that you're going to see. Is the product approved for pregnant or lactating mares? Is it approved for breeding stallions? How young can a foal be when it's started on that product? That's all going to be listed on those labels.
And I have seen people, you talk about the weight, and I have seen people with ponies just squirt the whole tube in and not, and then say, don't worry about that. Isn't it important not to give them too much, too?
Absolutely. Some of the products on the market do not have a very wide margin of safety. In some cases, there's a narrow range between the efficacious dose and the toxic dose. So, it's very important to have an accurate weight, and it's very important to give the amount of product that's required. And it's also important not to underdose, because then you're getting into an area that we'll probably talk in the future called resistance. You're more likely to develop resistance on your farm or ranch if you're underdosing your animals.
Let's talk a little bit about that now. Talk about resistance.
Resistance is something that we've been talking about in veterinary medicine, especially on the equine side, for the last 5 to 10 years, and it's been a real concern for us with equine antiparasitical. Every time we deworm our horses, we are essentially selecting for parasites that are resistant to that particular active ingredient in that dewormer that we're using. So the more often we deworm, the greater the opportunity for resistance to develop. So we've really now taken on a targeted approach to deworming, where we're identifying horses by their ability or propensity to shed eggs. And we know there's basically 3 groups: low shedders, medium shedders, and high shedders. We know that 80% of the horses out there are going to be low shedders, and then there's a 20% out there that will be those high shedders. And those are really the horses that we concentrate on. And we make sure that we have a very solid deworming program to limit the amount of eggs that they're seeding down our pastures with.
Well, how do you know if a product is working? How do I know if I'm using a wormer that it is actually working?
It's another great question. A lot of people just wing it. They just sort of, pick a pretty box off the shelf or go with something that maybe their friends have told them about. But there really is a well-grounded scientific method that can be used that's easy to do on any farm or ranch. And what we do is the day that we administer the dewormer, we get a fecal sample from that particular horse or group of horses, and then we check the fecal egg count for that horse. And that's going to be expressed in eggs per gram of fecal material. And that's done in a special counting chamber, and in any veterinary clinic can conduct that test. We come back 2 weeks later after the dewormer has been administered, and we get another fecal sample from those individual horses, and we do a fecal egg count test again. And we compare the two, and we want to see a reduction of at least 90% If it's less than 90% reduction in the egg count, we know that we are starting to develop or have developed a resistance issue, and we need to switch to a different class of dewormer on our farm or ranch.
Okay, so that's how you overcome the resistance issue, is you really have to have more information to do it intelligently.
Right. You can't deworm your horses and say, well, they look pretty good.
Right.
So it must be working.
Right. Yeah, that's one area where you definitely need the testing. And we're going to talk more about fecal testing in our next session that we do here. But in the meantime, you can find out a ton more information at the website. It's by MEDA. That's BIME. equine.com, by MetaEquine.com. There's all kinds of great information on there on deworming plans and fecal testing and resistance, just what we talked about. Also, the different types of parasites, and there's a question and answer section on there with Dr. Dave. So you can find out more information on the website at bymetaequine.com. Thank you, and we'll talk to you again next month.
Up next, we have Anna Corfey, who is my daughter's Pony Club coach. Technically, her title is the Pony Club Assistant Center Administrator. And every Pony Club has either what they call a DC, which district commissioner, I think, and then Pony Club centers have center administrators. Anna's job is basically she coaches the girls' team. And she is an A graduate, which is the highest you can go in Pony Club, and it's some serious business. If you go and look at the requirements and what it takes to become an A graduate, Anna's got it. She's got some serious street cred.
In the old days, when you had to do it by the time you were age 21, they've moved it up to 25 now. It was very difficult to do.
And in Minnesota, that doubles the degree of difficulty.
That's true.
And we're lucky to have her here in New England now. She has a day job, a corporate day job, so she does have a real life. She is an upper-level eventer, very successful, very active, competing. She goes back and forth to Aiken and New England. She's all over the place with her horse. She's a fan of the thoroughbreds, which we all love. Woohoo! And so we're going to hear from Anna. She's going to talk to us a little bit about how she got to be a Pony Club instructor and what it's meant to her life and where she thinks it's going. Welcome, Anna, to the Stable Scoop Radio Show. I'm very happy to have you join us today.
Well, I'm happy to be here and to be of assistance.
So we've already introduced you to our listeners, but we just kind of gave them the teacup version of what you're all about. You are the Simon Says Pony Club Center Assistant Center Administrator, and that's like vomiting a lot of information up. But you're in charge. It's your job to shape the future of our children.
In their Pony Club career, yes, absolutely.
In their Pony Club career. Tell us
the
what
rest
it means.
of it's back to the parents there, Helena. That's you're still involved in somewhere.
No. I don't
think she wants to take all the responsibility, but just a part of it.
Well, it's funny because, one of the things that I kind of credit myself for, I definitely am not up for any Mother of the Year awards, but I cannot teach my own child, especially when it comes to something that I'm as emotional and passionate about as horses. So I'm all about handing her off to somebody who can give her an objective view of the horse world. And Anna's been perfect for that. But so
Thank
Anna,
you.
tell us how you came to be in the role that you're in. Obviously, you are an A graduate from Pony Club, which is a big deal. But how did you get where you are today?
Well, I started riding when I was about 6 years old. And in the barn that I was at, they had a couple of those kids were in the local Pony Club. But now remember, this is like northern Minnesota. So there was one Pony Club, and the next one closest to us was about a 3.5-hour drive. So if you wanted to learn anything about horses, you just joined anything that was available to you. So I subsequently joined Pony Club in our local club, and I was fortunate enough to even have one near me, and it just grew from there. I was like, I started, my club was semi-involved, but I'm one of those people who will just go out and find information. I think I was about 11 years old, and I wrote nationals saying, give me all the standards because I want to become an A. And they sent me all the standards, so I read through them and said, all right, this is what I want to do. And I started making phone calls and writing letters and getting information I needed to, get the right credentialing done and whatever I needed to do to make it happen. And so I did. It was a long chore, but it was definitely worth every effort. It was a little painful at times, but I learned so much. And so then I finally aged out at that time when I was 21, and I went on to doing both a regular day career, and I've also did a short-term full-time horse career. I'm back in a day career, but on the side I also teach a little bit, and I help give back by getting involved with Pony Club on the local level, and I'm also a member of the National Eventing Committee for Pony Club as well. So
now, can I jump in here quick?
Yeah.
So now, you what state again did you grow up in?
Minnesota.
Okay, you didn't learn enough in Pony Club, because if you were smart Pony Clubber graduate, you would have moved south. Instead, you moved from one cold, snowy place to an even colder, snowy place this year.
I know. It teaches the kids a lot. We were jumping snowbanks back there, so you just jumped what you could. I wouldn't recommend that nowadays, but that was in the 80s. So
you could have. Well, speaking of 80s, it's in the 80s in Florida today. You blew it, Ann. I'm just saying.
I know. I don't know what I was thinking, to be honest.
All right, Helena, sorry.
And that was productive how, Glenn?
I just had to bust her chops about that. She's not depressed enough. I thought I would just throw that in.
Yeah,
he can pick a fight with anybody. Why he wants to pick a fight with competitive pony clubbers is beyond me. Clearly, from Anna's background, at 11 years old, she's riding to, the nationals. Like, she has a competitive streak in her. But so you're here, Anna, and you one of the things that I really found that I love about you is that it's the giving back part, because Pony Club, when you see, as evidence from the recent quiz rally we went to, even something that's unmounted takes a huge amount of effort to pull together. The tables, the infrastructure, the people, the food, the location, all of this stuff requires a lot of volunteer effort. And
without a doubt,
this is just coming right from their hearts, right from your hearts to give to these kids. But the competitiveness, it's such a healthy, competitive environment compared to, in my opinion, some of the other disciplines. But it's rooted in the eventing world, which I find to be more objective than some of the other disciplines. How do you feel that objectivity trickles down into Pony Club?
Well, it's funny because having been competitive in Pony Club and gone to all the rallies and did that as a kid, and taking the kids now to rallies and being competitive in it, it's great. But it's also, those same competitions are also for, kids go not even just to be competitive, but just also to be involved, because they just take it as a learning experience. Like, for one instance, this past weekend at our quiz rally, I had a little girl who walked up to I was running one of the tables, and she walked up and said, she's probably 6 or 7 years old, "I just joined Pony Club, so I'm not sure I'll get any of the answers." I'm like, "Sweetie, that is fine. You're here to learn." And she was right. She didn't get any of the answers. But before I gave her little test sheet back, I said, "Let's go over the table, and so you can learn, because this isn't all about." So we talked about like how great of an experience it's going to be to know more, even though you might not get any right. And then I handed her a paper back saying, "You're right, sweetie, you didn't get any right, but now you know the answers, and you can try your best next time." And she's like, "Yep, you're right. I'll do better next time." And so I think it's just like how you approach it and how you talk to somebody, communicate to a kid like that, if I would have handed it back to her, she might have been crushed. It's like, "Sorry, you got zero right. And it could have like ruined her, feeling towards Pony Club, and also her parents. Cause again, parents need to be involved at some level, with Pony Club, because, a lot of it's studying at home. A lot of it, is just driving them to the barn and driving them to the unmounted lessons, and, encouraging them to, do their homework at home, which is, it can be for our kids, it can be a lot. So,
well, yeah, just keeping track of their armbands and their pin is a big
that
deal.
Alone, I know.
Please.
It's funny because I keep a stash of those in my purse, even here at work, ironically enough. So, it's awesome.
Don't let that out, Anna.
Yeah,
don't let that
out. Oh, too funny.
So
it's such a great organization, though. I can't say enough about it.
It really is, and there's context, which is great because so you've got this girl who comes up, she's brand new to Pony Club, and you in that one instant created this wonderful supportive context for her, which it's like an on-off switch. You can turn them on to the world of Pony Club with one kind word, and you can turn them off to the world of Pony Club with not necessarily unkind, but uncaring. And I found that there are a lot of people in the organization who we take it very seriously. It's because it's big and it's important in a lot of people's lives, a lot of kids' lives.
Yeah, without a doubt.
But so you have, so your job is to take these kids, and we have a group. So we talked a little bit. In fact, when USPC first came out with the Pony Club Center program,
explain that. Because when my wife was in, she's an HA graduate too, but 30 years ago. So they didn't have what's called a center program. Explain what that is.
So, it's a new, relatively new model that Pony Club came out because they realized, that being a traditional club, a pony club is, and that's the traditional nonprofit model. But some of the barns are not willing to, and understandably so, not willing to put on a pony club because it's not a cash flow for them. And being in the horse industry, I can appreciate that because a lot of times you're very much living paycheck to paycheck, and to put on a traditional pony club takes a lot of time and effort and energy and volunteers from you and and the parents and the kids involved, but it's not a revenue stream. So they decided, you know what, let's do Pony Club centers, and it is a for-profit portion of Pony Club. So our center is for-profit. So what happens is that our club, our members pay a fee to do their lessons, to do their unmounted, but we don't require the club to or the parents to raise money or fundraise because we're not even allowed to because we are for-profit. Okay. So it's a nice addition to an existing current lesson program.
Got it. Okay.
Yep. And it provides a lot of opportunity for kids who don't have their own mount. Like for us, it's not even that we don't have our own mount. We can't truck him anywhere.
Right.
So we don't have a trailer. So, that it removes a huge obstacle to access for the program.
And going back, and I think Anna will agree with this, that has been an obstacle in the past. Years ago, it was a problem if you did, if there was a limited amount you could do without your own pony or being able to trailer, and that's always been an issue in Pony Club.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And the other thing is it gives a good curriculum to a current lesson program for their unmounted, for their mounted program. And it gives them something to go by so that, not only the regular lessons, they can look at this curriculum and work towards it, but also in their Pony Club lessons too, because our kids do both. They actually, in many cases, they ride with me for Pony Club lessons. They ride with a regular instructor at the club, or they ride on it with an outside instructor at another barn, and they come here for Pony Club as well. So in that case, then we try to send some of the curriculum and the riding objectives to that trainer to say, hey, can you work with, Katie on X, Y, and Z? And so you just build that relationship in it, and usually works out quite nicely. So it does give some a level of curriculum to a current existing lesson program where otherwise they wouldn't have that available to them.
Yeah, and I don't find that really in too many other disciplines where there's this sort of cross-pollination of support and instruction. Right. It's either like you're riding exclusively with this trainer at this barn doing these things, but Pony Club seems to gently insert itself into, a well-rounded riding education for their kids, which again is kind of unheard of and makes it especially attractive as a training ground for life lessons.
Oh, absolutely. Going through my ratings and going to, rallies, it taught you a lot about how to interact with other people on a professional level, because that's what's expected. So I felt like coming into my first job without even having a corporate job, I felt like relatively prepared to deal with people on a professional level, even though I had no background, and this is my early 20s, right? Coming out of college kind of thing. So there's definitely some life lessons and life skills that come out of this, in addition to the riding and unmounted. And another great thing about Pony Club is that it is not only riding centered, but the horse management piece is it's so instrumental in what everything that we do, and it's such a nice change because it teaches them everything about what they need to know about how to care for the horse. But not only that, but like why, and then how, and what if scenarios, and that kind of thing. So it's just like this rounded education. If I had my druthers, I would personally require every instructor in this country to go through Pony Club because,
right?
Yeah, I do. I feel like that. If we were going to get a licensing agency, it should be that. I know the state of Massachusetts is the only state in the country that requires a riding instructor's license. But the test right now isn't geared towards that. It's geared towards other things, and they're looking at modeling something after, the instructor certification programs that like the USDF has and the Pony Club system and their curriculum. So that's exciting. And because it's such a well-rounded education, now other organizations are starting to look at that too as a good model.
I took that Massachusetts instructor's test.
Myself too.
and the packet that they gave you to help prep was great. But I'll tell you, I got a lot of my studying done from Pony Club manuals. Now, I didn't really get heavily involved into horses until I was outside of the Pony Club age. Like I didn't even discover it until I was an adult. But I went out and I bought all the manuals. And if it wasn't for those, obviously with my experience, it was really helpful. But the thing about that, I really agree with you on the, if we could have a licensing infrastructure, Pony Club they have standards of proficiency, but the key word there is standards. Now, if you ask 5 different horse people the same question, you're going to get 5 different answers. And that is really a problem. I think it creates this very fractured culture in the horse world. So,
absolutely.
Right. And then even then, there are other organizations who are popping up saying, well, these are our standards and these are your standards. But Pony Club is the oldest, and they continue to research. So it's a governing body that doesn't just hold on to old standards. The standards are constantly evolving, and your level of proficiency within those standards it's almost like this horse university. It's got the infrastructure of a university behind it in terms of research and propagating the standards.
It is the closest thing that we have to some of the European schools of, equitation and riding that they have over there. Pony Club's the next best thing that we have. We don't have that pipeline, but I think Pony Club can easily, for those kids that want to go on to become professionals or become elite riders, it's really a pipeline from that to young riders to, right now they have the U25 to, getting into that whole elite riding pipeline. So it's an avenue. There's an avenue in Pony Club for every single skill level and everybody's endeavor, for sure.
Now, I know that they were talking a couple of years ago about getting a Western side started too, because Pony Club's always been, leaned English. Has that happened?
It has happened. They do have a Western track now, which is exciting for those Western riders who've always been kind of aching to get involved with Pony Club. And I think it's kind of riding right along, Western dressage is starting to come out and be really popular in some areas as well. I see it at some of our local dressage shows here in New England, the Western dressage. And so it's based off of that type of riding skill. And so, yes, we do have Western, which is very exciting. I personally know nothing about it. So,
is it reining? Is it reining based?
It's more like a Western dressage base from what I know. But the clubs and the centers have the ability to add it or to not have it, and that's just based on we personally down at Simon Says, because I don't have anybody, there that could teach it. That's the only thing. I mean, they could join our club. I just wouldn't be able to give them lessons in other than they could join and just do the horse management side. But I wouldn't be able to do, ratings or anything like that just because I don't have the skill level. But it is growing in popularity.
Are you telling me, Anna, that your sliding stops are not really good?
Yeah, no, not so much unless I fall on the ice. That's the only sliding stuff I can do. That's it. The other thing that's really exciting is because, like earlier I had mentioned that I aged out when I was 21, but they, increased that a few years ago to 25. And now in addition to that, they had also started a Horse Masters program, which is for adults. And they've just recently opened up Horse Masters, so any adult can actually join a pony club and essentially follow in the similar tracks that the regular pony clubbers do too. So that's really exciting. It gives them an opportunity to, go through a rating system. There's a whole Horse Masters track rating system that they would go through, but theoretically they will be able to compete in rallies and that kind of thing. I think the National Pony Club's working out all the details right now, but that's the idea, which is really, really exciting. So for all the people that want to join Pony Club, now here's your opportunity. And I also see it as a great, possibility for, having other lesson programs to adapt the Horse Masters thing in there. It's a whole curriculum, again, for adults that can, hey, make it a wine and cheese party and we can talk about rapping, like that whole kind of concept. So
keeping it real.
Yeah, exactly. That's how you're going to get people to join.
That's what we need. Exactly.
Yeah. Yep.
Booze and food.
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
Well, I am personally very thankful that Grace has the opportunity to learn under you and Cheryl Amaral of Simon Says Welsh Ponies, which is a fantastic center. And Cheryl's got a lot of great ponies, which really kind of makes it cool for you too, Anna, because you got a whole bucket full of ponies to play with.
Ponies to choose from. Yeah, exactly. She has so many, and she's constantly leasing them out or selling them, and ponies are coming back in. So the kids actually ride a large amount of different ponies and smaller horses. So they have some regular standbys that are there, but they're always getting a good chance to see another one go or ride another one. So they're getting skilled on. I think some of those kids might even have ridden more horses than I've ever had in my life because of the fact that they're always riding, they're somebody new over a long period of time, obviously, but still it's great. It's a nice change for me versus, seeing the same kid, year in and year out on the same pony. And sometimes you can get, as an instructor, you can get a little tapped out from that. If the pony is a little bit it can only go so far, but then maybe the skill level for the child has come to the point where they might need a new pony, but it's not possible for that, for them to, get a new one. Yeah.
That's good warm up too, because as they get higher levels of pony club, they do have to ride other people's horses as they get to the highest levels as part of their testing. And the other thing it prepares them for too is college. If they end up in a college program, they're always going to be riding other people's horses. So
without a doubt.
Yeah.
Yep.
And one of the best pieces of advice that I ever got was from Coach Jen. She said, ride the horse you're on, which is a big deal. For me, you got to ride the horse you're on. You can't. It's not a one size fits all type of approach to riding. So, giving kids the opportunity to do that, to understand what that means at an early age, is going to save them a heck of a lot of frustration as they grow up riding. So it's again another plus for the Pony Club Centers program.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, we could go on for hours and hours.
I could talk for days about horses and pony club. Are you kidding me?
Well, my thanks to you, Anna, for doing such a great job with our pony club. I'm looking forward to years more of working with you up here in New England.
Oh, thank you. It's a lot of fun. It's a nice change of pace for me too to get out of the corporate world and go back and teach a little bit, and still manage to teach and help out Pony Club in addition to my own riding. So
I do have one more question for you.
Sure.
Now, during the quiz competitions, when Grace, Helena's daughter's in there and doing her thing, is Helena in the back jumping up and down with her hand up in the air when she knows the answer? Because I can so see her doing that.
I think when her team won, she jumped up and her hands went up in the air. So she was a really excited kid. It was so much fun to see.
That was the first time she actually understood what it meant to accomplish, to win. I think different kids really comprehend different life concepts, right, at different ages. That was the first time Grace really got what it meant to put effort into something and be rewarded by winning. Instead of just being handed a ribbon for going around in circles and not really understanding what she did to get there.
Right.
And so that comprehension was, of course, it moved me to tears. And then, Anna and Cheryl turn and look at me and they have this big glow on their faces like, okay, that was a really big deal. She's an alternate for nationals, but that's a big deal. So we're going to take it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I try to stay away from it, Glenn. That's the one thing please, it takes every ounce of energy for me to not fully immerse myself.
Usually you're sitting in your car because it's like you come and watch the lesson a little bit and you go away. Then you come back.
I have to go away.
I know because I know Helena for a long time. It kills her. It just kills her. So
I love it.
Grace is an only child and the apron strings are pretty tight. So it's another way for them to learn these life lessons, how to be independent.
Let's face it. Helena's a little Miss Smarty Pants and now Grace is too. So there we go.
There you go. Love it.
Well, thank you, Anna, for joining us. We're going to post links and information to the U.S. Pony Club programs on our website. And I definitely encourage everybody to check out a center or a club in their area, and we'll give you some links to help you find that. Thank you, Anna, for joining us.
All right. Thank you. Take care.
Dr. Rose's Remedies Skin Treatment Salve and Spray are 100% all-natural products. They are anti-inflammatory, antibacterial, antiviral, and antifungal. Dr. Rose's are made with all human-grade ingredients and are safe and effective for treatment for all manner of cuts and scrapes on your horse. And Dr. Rose's is the must-have product here at the Horse Radio Network headquarters to keep PT Scooter's delicate white pasterns free from dew poisoning and scratches. Ask for Dr. Rose's at your local tack store or feed supplier, or visit them online at drrosesremedies.com. That's drrosesremedies.com. Coming up next is our Tack and Habit segment.
This Tack and Habit segment is sponsored by Flirting with the World. Visit us online at flirtingwiththeworld.com. If you're a horse person, there's lots of great style advice for women who are on the go, running around from barn to house to office. If you don't know what to wear or how to look great, flirtingwiththeworld.com has some great style advice. Again, flirtingwiththeworld.com.
And coming up today on our segment, Coach Jen from the Horse Tip Daily Show gives us a review of the product that we used on Scooter. He had a boo-boo. So we're going to talk about why this was a little bit different. It was because of the location.
Scooter had a boo-boo. We need a whole show just called Scooter had a boo-boo.
Scooter boo-boo. That was a title for the next one.
Scooter boo-boo.
Well, for our Tack and Habit segment today, we have Jennifer from the Horse Tip Daily Show. Coach Jen is here, and she's been testing a few products for us. And we had one that we had to test just because we had a problem. So she's going to talk about that. What do we have? We had my pony again, who is the one that causes all the trouble at this farm.
That's right. This is not a test. This is a real emergency.
That's right. Scooter, who just seems to be in trouble all the time.
Scooter is in trouble all the time. Managed to cut his eyelid, a very common injury amongst horses. And the cut on his eyelid was not especially large, but it was right at the little crease
right at the corner of his eyeball.
Right in the corner of his eye. So regardless of what I used to treat this wound, it was going to get on his eyeball. So I was a little bit unsure about what to use. So I called up Dr. Wendy Ying and said, help. And she suggested I try a product called Vetericin. And I was familiar with Vetericin just because back when I worked in the retail biz, we sold it at the store. And I was familiar with the fact that the customers used it a lot and liked it. Okay, check this out. And Vetericin is a liquid wound care product that is safe for use on all parts of your horse. You can use it on the wounds, on their hooves. It gets in their eyeballs. As a matter of fact, it's even labeled to be treating eye issues like pink eye, which is why it was first developed. I honestly cannot tell you how or why it works, because if you read the ingredients, it looks like it's salt water to the average Joe like me. It's like, wait a minute, that sounds like salt.
It's saline, yeah.
Yeah, that sounds like it sounds like saline, but it is not saline
like
like
you would use
buy.
it for your contact lenses.
No, it is not the same thing at all. There's some kind of fancy chemistry going on that makes it do what it does, and it is excellent for healing all different types of wounds. And the cool part about it is you can get the Vetericyn in a little spray top bottle, liquid, and the spray is a really, really super fine mist. It's not like a fly sprayer where it comes out with a little bit of vim and vigor. It comes out in a little gentle puff. So it was really cool. With PT, all we had to do was hold his halter and squirt him right in the eyeball, and he didn't care in the least.
No, he didn't.
Awesome.
It was pretty cool.
It was awesome. And 3 times a day, squirt that stuff till his eye was a little damp, and it was damp around his eye, and that cut within 7 days was almost completely healed without a care. It was wonderful stuff.
Yeah, it did work, and I even was able to do it without causing any trouble.
That's right.
Yes.
It's husband approved. Horse
husband approved, and you can
do
it.
It's horse
now,
babysitter approved.
He was
because
really
our horse
good.
Babysitter used it.
Right. He was really good about us spraying it, though. I mean,
Yes.
he was pretty good about that. I'm not sure all horses are going to be good about that.
Well, we tried it on Pablo, our next door neighbor's horse, who's a little bit goofy, a little flighty, terrified of his own shadow. And he was good about it. Now, he wasn't quite so good as PT Scooter was, but he was fine. We held the halter and sprayed it because he gets gummies in his eyes all the time from the bugs. And he was really pretty cool about it compared to like trying to put a like cream medication or something on their eyelid, which we have to do a lot with him. This was much, 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 much easier. Yeah.
Yeah, and of course, as with anything that's medical, talk to your vet first. Take what we say with a grain of salt. We're not veterinarians, but it's just a product that we used, and it worked, and it did pretty well on a very, very sensitive spot.
Yeah, it worked great. It's got good labeling. It's easy to find at tack shops. It's not cheap. We paid $23 for that little squirty bottle, but that squirty bottle would
Last
probably
us 10 years.
it'll probably last just a couple of years. And I know people use it for thrush. They use it for like white line disease. They use it for all kinds of different cuts and scrapes and holes. So it has a wide variety of applications. So it's spelled Vetericyn. Like I said, you can find it at most local tack stores or online. Check it out. Read the label. Ask your vet what he thinks, but it might be worth a try.
Thank you, Jennifer. So Scooter is looking better now. His little eyeball's all healed up, and he's back to being an ornery hackney pony. God, he's such an instigator. He just will pick and pick and pick. He's like that little kid in school that was the bully on the bus who just never stopped picking. On the way to school, on the way home from school, he was always picking on somebody. And Jack was the one, by the way, on my bus. And I won't say his last name, but Jack was the one who was picking on everybody on the way to school and the way home from school. And I think everybody that's ridden the school bus had that one person on the bus that it didn't matter. They just never stopped. And that's Scooter. And I think it's a size complex. Maybe, he's the littlest one in the field, so he's the one that's just going to be always picking.
I think it's a balance thing. Yeah, they're gypped of the size, so they're given confidence. I don't know.
I think it's a hackney thing too. It's a little tough guy.
Poor makes them great driving. It makes them great competitors. And
Beaker is so sick of him, and we do separate him. We try and give him separate time for about a couple hours every day, just to give Beaker a break from the kid.
Separate time.
He is so.
Maybe you need to get Scooter a pony of his own. Maybe you need to get him like a mini.
Oh, then we'd have vet bills.
That's true. That's true.
At least when there's a size difference, when Beaker truly gets sick of it, he lets him know, and then Scooter will back off a little bit. But all
right,
he is such a little troublemaker.
A scotch. That's what we call him in Italian. A scotch.
He definitely is a scotch. There's no trouble. No doubt about that. But he's fun. I wouldn't have it any other way. I still love my pony.
Cool.
Well, we're going to have to wrap this up. We have a show to get off to here in Florida. So thank you so much for joining us this week. Don't forget to get the app, iOS or Android. Just search for Horse Radio Network in the App Store. It's free and it's easy to use. And you can find Helena at
flirtingwiththeworld.com or you can send me a message here at Horse Radio Network, Helena@horseradionetwork.com.
And if you have any show ideas, guest ideas, I've been getting some recently, so we would love to hear from you. Just send them to Helena or I at horseradionetwork.com, and we would love to hear your ideas about potential guests, and we'll try and get them on. And, of course, you can find all the past episodes. How many is this now, Helena? 342 episodes.
Yeah.
You can go find them at, and I have a statistic for you I'll give you here in a second. You can go find them at stablescoop.com all the way back to episode number 1. Do you realize that only 0.5% of all podcasts ever make it past 5 years? So we are probably now at about 1/4% of podcasts that have made it 7 years.
You're kidding.
No, that's the number. And you know what? We're coming up in August. We'll be going into 8 years doing this. Can you believe that?
This is the longest job I've ever had.
Me too, for that matter. That's true. Oh,
I can't say it makes me the most money, but
no, it doesn't make me the most money either. I always made more money doing other stuff.
You know what? We survived probably one of the worst economic downturns in history. So that's saying something.
Yeah, because we were willing to work for nothing. I mean, that's what.
I know.
But you know what? We were dedicated. We liked being together every week. We still do, and that's why we do it. And, we have a lot of cool fans and listeners, and that helps too.
Yes.
People around the world that take a listen to this show. So we're glad that you do, and thank you so much for being here. We also want to thank our sponsors, Buy Meat Dewormers and Dr. Rose's Remedies, along with Flirting with the World. That's it for this week.
That's plenty, but there will be more next week. Until then, happy scooping, my friends.